Fullen's discussion of the different stakeholders in educational change is a good one. He calls educational change a people-related phenomenon. He covers important aspects of change from several different perspectives. In outlining the teacher's part in educational change, he pointed out how burnout teachers are due to getting demands from all different directions. On page 129, he talks about how teacher stress and alienation are at an all-time high due to the deterioration of teaching conditions over the past 2 decades. Nonetheless, Fullen notes the importance of teachers in the process. If we listen to a quote on page 153, Fullen states that students who had good teachers for 3 years in a row showed a significant increase in their percentile rankings on state examination, regardless of socioeconomic factors. That's a pretty important distinction to make because socioeconomic factors can be so important in student success. Next, Fullen addresses the plight of the principal, who, according to all reports, isn't doing much better than the teachers. The principal is the gatekeeper of change, Fullen states, and goes on to explain that despite the heightened expectations that the principal is supposed to have in the change process, the principalship itself has become very overloaded, which makes it impossible for them to fulfill the idea or the promise of reform. So teachers are burnt out and principals are burnt out. Next, Fullen talks about the students. Interestingly, as Fullen addresses the student as a stakeholder, he discusses this being a fairly new concept. Fullen explains in his text how important students are to the change process, but that they have been historically overlooked beyond being passive recipients of change. Another important piece Fullen incorporates is regarding the parents and community. Although the text is K-12 focused, I read 2 articles from your selection looking at educational change from a higher ed perspective. Both of these articles emphasized issues related to parents or community stakeholders. The first one, from Frasquet, Cauldron, and Cervera, a discussion of the relationship between the school and the businesses in the community, was highlighted. Specifically, how the relationship was built on trust and how important that relationship was for student success. Additionally, I read an article that highlights the collaboration between students and their parents, looking at the family support related to students' GPA scores. This study, done by Chang, Ix, and Verhofstadt, revealed that perceived family support was a strong predictor of student GPA. And interestingly, this support was more important for women's success than men's. Nonetheless, both of these studies highlight the importance of families and community members as stakeholders in the educational process. Fullen completes his review of stakeholders by looking at district administrators. He sums this up nicely on page 206, where he says, "A district does not foster collective capacity building by design, then it undermines it by default." One of the things that this brought to mind for me very quickly was Fullen's idea of capacity building from the 6 Secrets of Change book. And I think that as we look back and review the discussion of all the different stakeholders, not just the district administrators, but all of the different stakeholders, you'll see that capacity building is kind of a key ingredient to all of the discussions of the different stakeholders. We want to build the capacity of the teachers and the principal and the students and the parents, as well as the district administrators, in order to have successful educational change.
Created using Powtoon.